I hear a Will Hukin approaching.
You hear a FIFA phone
Yes, and it's Phil Roberts down at the Station Gym. What's happening, ladies and gentlemen?
We're on, we're live.
Oh, live already.
Oh, we're already recording, sir.
This is for you, sir.
How are you today?
Very good.
It's this what? Could you
good.
pass me that Pepsi from over there?
Oh, yeah.
This is your microphone, dude. You want to clip that straight onto you?
Yeah, sir, some hydration.
Welcome to the podcast. It's episode 4. It's Fit Talk Radio.
Fit talk. Is that what we decided?
That's
on?
what
This is what we've
going on.
decided. These are the sponsors. It's the Station Gym Sheffield. This is our amazing backdrop. You can see yourself there on camera.
It's the most professional thing ever.
Make sure you fit in on the screen.
Yeah.
Man, I made it.
I'm not as wide as I used to be.
Well, you're on the #1 podcast in the world, so you've made it.
This is the number 1 health and fitness show. This is where you've been
Joe
trying to
Rogan,
get to.
Oh, come on, who? Exactly. How are you doing today, man? Good to see you.
Good. Yeah. Very good.
Had a busy morning?
Yes. It's up early, so getting things started and then doing the running of the place, new ideas, stuff like
That
that.
small task.
We were literally talking before the recording about how much progress that you guys make here, and just how you're just always moving forward, and you've got the next thing and the next thing and the next
which
thing.
is a blessing and a curse.
Okay.
Because obviously the customers are really happy and things are going really well. But then from a perfectionist, not that I'm necessarily a perfectionist, but I'm a person who's driven to move forward,
Yes.
it's very hard to settle and actually appreciate what you've got.
You're not
right
stopping to
over-
smell the roses, sir.
Exactly.
Because you've got a
Exactly.
beautiful flower bed.
I know, but it could be better.
Well, I've
It
got
could be a better flower, but that's the
He's
thing.
in the weeds preening.
Yeah,
Isn't
and,
it? Getting literal about that, I'm looking forward to the flower bed outside. In the
I
front.
know, yeah, well, once the weather's better.
I know, that's the good argument for that one. It's not time
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. But that's all to come.
Yeah.
So it's going to look pretty, but I want to get functionality first. Functionality, and then we can make it look pretty.
So with that you mean the systems running like within the team and then also within
Yes.
the gym
So
itself?
obviously, yeah. So what we've got set up is we've got obviously I'm kind of running the show. I'm directing the ship,
Yeah.
managing director. So that you steer the ship in the right direction,
Uh-huh.
and then what you tell is you tell your captains or whatever you refer to them in the army terms is where you want to go and how you're going to get there. And then it's their job to then filter that down to the ground troops, who are the guys who are actually doing the main bit of work. So they're doing the actual physical graft.
Because that's kind of your and Tom's relationship, and how I see you as well. It's kind of like the capitan and then the commander type thing. Like you've got
I don't know which one's higher?
I'm trying to play it, very diplomatically here. I'm friends with both of them, and there's, we play it like this.
no. So yeah, we're quite open about it. So I'm overall directing the ship and where it's going to go. Tom is much more involved in the functionality of getting that vision achieved.
Yeah.
And it works well because if you kind of don't appreciate what role you're doing, if you kind of like, ooh, I'm worried about stepping on someone's toes, then you're always going to hold back a little bit. Whereas here we've got this established, so it works well.
Well, you're working
So
on
we
your
know
strengths,
there's no one's more important than the other person as well. It's just it needs one leader to go forward.
And I think one of the reasons you don't feel stepped on by each other is because you're playing to your strengths and you're both in the lane that you want to be in. And
Exactly.
people say to work on your weaknesses, which I think is, well, working on your weaknesses is good, but not focusing on them. Focus on your strengths and play to what you're good at. And that's definitely what you're doing here. And there's a strong overlap between the two of them as well, isn't there?
That's
So
a nice way of looking at
it's
it.
like in the strongman world, the damage limitation. So I always knew that deadlifting and moving events was my best events. So I still practice those. And
Moving events, did you say?
moving events, so like carrying
heavy
super
things.
yoke, just moving a large object from A to B.
What's super yoke?
Super yoke. So like milkmaid's yoke. Like they used to
yeah.
use pails of. You weren't born in the 1980s.
No.
I mean, sorry, the 1800s.
Yeah.
With another 200 years back. So you'd have like a piece of wood across your back. And
I have seen this.
Yes.
Yeah, the metal frame thing where you like.
So that's the super yoke
Oh,
because
I
it's super
don't-
heavy.
yeah,
Your
I
whereas-
know
hands look
this.
miserable
Yeah.
when you do it. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
those things.
yeah.
So these are your games, are they?
They
carrying
used to
the
be,
large items.
Yeah, carrying the large items from A to B. Basically,
Well,
physics over a distance.
We're going to get to and are excited to talk about your training at the moment, history with training and current modalities and things. But I think to start with, I'm enjoying this this gym, how you got here, chat and whatnot. Because you started with titanium,
That's correct.
which I never frequented but visited sometimes and quite enjoyed coming in and playing with the big boys, as it were.
Yes.
Talk me through that kind of, obviously you started that with your pursuit of strongman and
Yes.
all this stuff?
So that comes from, obviously, I was in the police. So I was in the police from 21 years old up to 29 years old. And I left the police because I was very unhappy in it. And basically, I figured my only happy place is being in the gym and training and stuff. So I had a little bit of a midlife crisis, hopefully an early midlife
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
crisis
let's
at
call that
29.
quarter
Quarter life crisis,
Well,
yeah.
quarter, I don't want to be 120.
Think big. Well, you are a large man, and like Great Danes don't live so long.
I know,
So it's
yeah.
like,
I know, you
that
don't see
heart's
many large old people, do
The
you?
heart's got a lot of pump to sir, as it's got a lot of way to pump.
Yeah. So, basically, I thought, sod it. I sold my house, gave everything up, pumped the money into TSG,
Right.
which was titanium, and I was happy doing that. I reinvested in the first year for the year, reinvested everything, and I lived on £80 a week and lived in my parents' attic on a single bed. So at 30 years old, I spent my 30th birthday at home in my parents' house on
No,
a
I
single
respect
bed.
that loads.
But that's the thing, you've got to...
That £80 coming from your
I just
few
did some
members you
personal
had,
training.
or-
No, I
oh,
just-
personal training.
No,
right.
we got like 70, 80 members straight away, so we're ticking over.
Okay, that's
But
good.
any money we made, we bought new equipment, because obviously I started off titanium, this was back in 2015, with £40,000. That all goes up very quick when you're doing the gym world.
What was this? Just equipment and then rent?
Yeah, equipment, rent, and
Staff? Was it just you to start
it was
with?
just me and my business partner at that time.
Okay. Yeah.
So we didn't really take a wage. We just basically did personal training to get money. And that was my spending money. Literally, at 30 years old, when your parents having to buy you food for you because you can't afford it and stuff. So I've been at the low points and I've been at the high
See if you can
points.
lick rust off of plates to gain nutrition and iron from that. I'll just not buy food.
What?
I'll just nibble on this
I don't
50
think that's
kilo
the same
plate.
sort of iron.
What?
I've been doing it wrong.
How many times have I done the same thing?
Honestly, just have broccoli.
Yeah.
Broccoli or spinach.
It's like,
Much
okay.
easier way than licking rust.
That sounds good
It
to
is.
me. I like that, yeah.
You've seen me do the same thing as well throughout business, haven't I? I've lived in some
Absolutely.
very expensive places and then also made switches and thought, fine, it's time to jump.
Yeah.
And then cut everything back, got rid of everything, reset back to zero. I respect it. You've got to do that sometimes. People who are not willing to do that won't succeed sometimes.
No.
Not in business.
No.
You've got to make sacrifices and sometimes you've got to do what you can do.
I don't even think just business. I think that's just in general in life. If you're not willing to take a fall, then you're not willing. You'll never reach the top.
Yeah.
It's sacrificing something here. To get to your goals, you have to sacrifice things, and if you don't, then the goal becomes the sacrifice, isn't it?
Exactly. And also, if you don't need to make any sacrifices to get a goal, aim higher. 'Cause that's, if your goal is to live out your life in a job that you don't really enjoy, work to retirement, then I feel sorry for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and if that is your goal, that's absolutely fine. But where's the joy in that? Where's the fun in that?
I don't know if that's anybody's goal, is it? Does anybody want to be in a job
but
they
the
don't
thing
like?
is, people. What happens in the world is people have everyone. When you're a child, what do you want to be when you're a child? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a zookeeper. I want to be a whatever. People have massive aspirations, but then what the world does is it kind of chips away at that, and eventually you just listen to the world and you go, well, I guess I'll settle down. I'll get a decent job. I don't like it, but it pays me bills. I can go on holiday twice a year. And I get a good pension at the end of it, and
The
then I
vision
die.
gets smaller,
Yes.
and the end.
Do you know what I think it is as well?
The world strangles your vision, whereas people who achieve a lot in the world or achieve more are the ones that don't let go of that childhood. Yes, obviously, I don't want to be an astronaut anymore.
Well, your
but
horizons,
I
your
still have
horizons
big
go
ambitions.
wider, don't they? Like
Yeah.
you now and the things that you have knocking about for next would never have come if it wasn't for having done the small step first.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And the thing is life is very much seasons. So when I first opened Titanium, I was living on a very small amount of money, and then things got better, and I opened a couple of security firms, and I was doing very well
Yeah.
financially wise, but not very well mentally wise. But then,
Your spiritual needs weren't met.
yeah, exactly, the spiritual needs were not met, and that's that creates a big problem, and that is a lot of people's problem these days because they're finding that the world cannot satisfy what they want. But just to be brutally honest, so the station did really well right from the start, and it's doing good. We're only in the 8th week, and I actually had to make a phone call the first week we were open to my father and say, look, I've got £16.20 in my personal account, not the business account, my personal account, and I can't pay my rent. So I had to make that phone call and basically say, look, can I borrow some money?
Yeah.
So you can see how the seasons have come around. And if you're desperate to hold on to one season, if you're desperate, so my situation, if I was desperate, I was doing financially well, but I was miserable, and I wasn't willing to let go of that financial safety net in order to move on to the next stage, then I would still be there. And I would still be unhappy. And now things are starting to turn around. Obviously, we've got a lot of stuff to pay out and a lot more stuff to reinvest. So I'm not going to be able to see much money from this place for some time, but it's enough for tick over. And I'm willing to make that sacrifice because I know in the long run, I'm looking in the distance rather than what's in front of me. Because let's face it, yesterday is a memory. It's not reality anymore, it just exists in your head. Your future also only exists in your head.
Yes.
So the better you can make your future, it's all about the day. So if you've got something to aim for, something to strive for, and you think this is going to make my life better, this is what I'm really looking forward to, it makes the day a lot more enjoyable rather than if you're just thinking about, yesterday I had this, yesterday I was doing all right, so I'll just carry on doing this, even though I'm not very happy. It's not a great way to live, in my eyes, regardless of how much money and stuff you have.
Listen, I think it's time for a word from our sponsors, because listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. Phil has got £16 in his bank account. So what you need to do is you need to come down, you need to sign up at the Station Gym to support your boy, okay? Because he's made this Station Gym to help people's physical, mental health, spiritual health, fulfillment, people in general. We're helping people, and your boy needs a sandwich, okay? So come down to the gym, sign up. You'll find all of us here. We're here to help you, aren't we? Epic story though, man. I'm very proud of you. You deserve all your success. If you're willing to sacrifice and put that much into it, then you get what you deserve at the end of the day. Most people, especially good people, do get what they deserve. And I liked what you said about dreams and following your dreams as well. Where are you from originally? Like Sheffield or somewhere else?
Yeah, so I'm Sheffield. I'm what I guess people would class as a bit of a posh boy. I'm from Forward. You can't talk. You're the same.
What? And he's the only dog in here.
This is what I was going to say, literally, because I'm originally from Rotherham, from a council estate.
You crawled your way out,
literally. And where I'm from, you're surrounded by people who don't even understand that you can even have a dream and try and achieve it. Do you know that the fact that I decided when I was young that I'm not just going to do what everybody else does, which is apply for jobs online. You apply for 30, you hear back from 4, you get 2 interviews, and you pick the one that sounds the least shit. This is how people's direction of life goes. I decided, no, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to try and do it. And people were like, what? Do you know, even when I moved to Sheffield, people thought I'd gone to Narnia. He's gone where? He's moved to a different... People they're just born there, they stay there, you become like the people around you. Yeah. Most people have got substance abuse problems because they're trying to fill holes in their heart or soul, which are not being filled through other ways. And then
it's filling that vision, that dream, isn't it? That's what fills that gap. So the only time I'm happy is when I'm having some substance. Sort of thing.
Or it dulls the unhappiness. Maybe you're not happy, but it distracts in a way from the unhappiness.
It falls back on that. If you sacrifice those things, and that becomes a sacrifice, and you work hard towards your goal becomes the reward. If you choose those things, the not getting to the goal becomes that sacrifice. And it goes back to the old yin and yang, the classic, all the adages and things that you just cannot avoid, the energy that passes between us and is just there whether you accept it or not. Yeah. You know, like you have the choice.
Yes, and I think it's very important for people to realise, and this is one of my main basically goals in life, one of the main goals in life is for people to realise that they can achieve. It's just down to their mindset. I'm no different. I breathe in the same air as anyone else. I have the same number of fingers and toes as anyone else. I am a human like anyone else. Yes, I have different opportunities because life's not fair. So there is different things, but you can make opportunities for yourself. And if you're not happy where you're at, then there is something you can do about it. There is guarantee there's something, but sometimes you just have to explore what that is. If you're not happy in life and you say, I don't know what would make me happy, then that's when you need to start thinking, right.
That's an issue in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah,
most people, I agree, if you ask them, if you could do anything, what would you do? Or what makes you happy? Or what makes you feel fulfilled? They haven't got any idea.
Yeah. And I think this is where we can learn a lot from children. So you go back to your childhood, you had aspirations, goals, everything when you were little. And as I said, things get choked away over time. So if you're someone who doesn't know what their goal is or anything, think back to when you were a child. Think like a child. Yes, it may be daft, like I wanted to be an astronaut, okay?
Is that real?
I used to, yeah.
You're probably too tall to fit in that tube, bro.
You wouldn't fit in a suit.
Nah, there's no way. They don't. There's no way. They have to put extra fuel on the rocket to get this guy out of the atmosphere. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. Elon ain't gonna be pleased. The margins are being affected.
I'd like a yoke in the rocket, please.
Oh yeah.
And gravity, if you could just.
Imagine being the first person on the moon to do a super yoke.
Oh, dude! What, with 1,000 kilos?
Well, you have to. Because like,
it's 1/3 less. It's a third of the gravity.
Once we bench 300 kilos, it's going to be a great time. Instagrammable for days.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it would just be the bench press that would get you famous for that.
Maybe
if you're on the moon, you're doing all right by yourself.
There's a guy that is like a social media influencer, and he's known for carrying weights up mountains, and then he does like a drone shot of him deadlifting on like a glacier or something.
Really?
It's
Who's
ridiculous. I don't know, but it's very cool.
That comes in with people's visions and dreams. If you've got a vision and dream to do that, everyone else, until it's done, it's impossible, isn't it?
Yes.
So if you said that to me, I didn't even know about this guy. If you said that to me, I'd be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas that guy has obviously gone, I reckon I can do that. And he tried it. And he's done it. So,
yeah. It's our
a
goal
bit
with
bizarre.
this podcast as well. Like, we know that we're having the best conversations ever, and the people that are listening know there just aren't many of them yet. But
we'll collect them as time goes on,
and they'll understand.
Because we're on episode 4, that means we've got 996 more to go.
Yeah, exactly.
1,000.
We've got the 1,000 episode goal.
This is the goal,
of course.
Well, there you go. There, and exactly, there's your goal. And then
by the time we're there,
yeah, exactly.
More.
And that's one of the most vital things in a vision, isn't it? Making sure you don't give up. If you give up, there's nothing good on the other side of giving up, because you never know, your breakthrough could be around the corner, and you never know, so you just keep plodding away.
I don't even think it'll be a case of trying to keep going for us, because we've realised that we could talk forever, and we have so many things to say, and we're so bad at getting to saying them because we're so good at procrastinating. So we'll be talking forever.
But actually saying nothing,
it,
providing no value, maybe some hilarity,
exactly.
maybe some good chatter and banter.
This is
yes.
Every now and then we'll have a vessel of wisdom on, such as yourself, and we'll keep segueing back to topics at hand.
We have to have guests so someone says something legitimate.
Exactly.
We stay on some kind of track.
So, going with that, I want to talk a little bit about your shift in ethos from this TSG, Titanium, to the new TSG, the Station Gym, and what your mindset was going into the first one, and why, and then vice versa now.
So, in a very short term, the Titanium Strength Gym was very much about me and what I could achieve. So that helped fund my strongman career. Got me steps to do the security and stuff like that, and it was all very much about me. Whereas the Station Gym is very much about helping other people achieve goals, regardless of what they are. I always say this: I don't care if you want 400 kilo deadlift or you want to lose 2 pounds. To me, if they're important to you, they're very important to me.
That's nice.
Respect.
And it doesn't matter, because everyone sets different goals. So you have to meet people where they're at. If I start putting my kind of drive and ethics onto other people, then it just alienates that person. I say, if someone who wants to lose 2 pounds, I said, you should be trying to deadlift 400 kilo. That's just impossible for them. So what I do is I go down and meet them where they're at. What do you want? So it's very much the focus in the Station Gym is about what other people need, what other people want to achieve. And that is 10 times more fulfilling than doing anything for yourself. Obviously, it's when you're putting other people first, good things come into that.
This spiritual deed that we were talking about.
Yeah, well, it does say in the Bible, it says, seek first the kingdom of God. So the kingdom of God is about sharing love to as many people as you come in contact with, and we fail. I fail a lot of times, but that is my main drive, to show as much love, to show people that they're actually loved by me and by God. But then, if it was all about what I wanted to do,
how could it be about that?
It can't be about that. But then, because I'm seeking what first the kingdom, all the good things come to you, and that's what it says in the Bible. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be given to you. Yes. So basically, what the Bible talks about is, it talks about basically putting God first and showing love and kindness to everyone, and everything else will follow. So turnover in this gym, for instance, is over 3 times the amount per month than it was down at Titanium Strength Gym. We've got over 3 times the number of members already. And that's not because I'm striving to get that, but I'm striving to help people and show love and kindness to people in whatever my area field is obviously strength and fitness and stuff like that. So that's my gifting. So yeah, I kind of lose my train of thought.
It's the rising tide of it all, isn't it? Like, you have to facilitate life, and like you say, you have to eat food. You can't just eat rusts off plates. So you need things to be a business and be feasible for you. But you can approach that from a dog-eat-dog business perspective, or you can take the long way around, the ethical and spiritual way around.
Yeah.
And watch when that starts to become karma, and you end up with the.
But that's also the only way that works long term.
Absolutely.
Because no matter what job you do, even if you work at McDonald's, you always help somebody. Because what do? You help give someone the burger that they want. Or if you're a cleaner, you help keep the place clean. Exactly. Every job is service or support to another person. And if you're faking it, you'll get found out, especially in the health and fitness industry where the job is to help people. You can't last. It's not going to work.
It's people that put on an act. You can only keep that act up for a certain
for so long.
No one's self-sustaining.
Exactly.
Everyone needs.
And how long have you been doing this? Over a decade?
Sorry?
How long have you been doing this? Over a decade?
2015 I quit the police, so 8 years now.
So coming up to a decade. If you were faking it, we would have found out by now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like there's nothing wrong with having the dog-eat-dog world, because that is what the world sets it up, and that's what a lot of aspirations for people are. But the richest man I know is also one of the most miserable people I know. And people would say he's successful, and I'd say, no, he can't sort his life out. His life's a mess. Yes, he's got loads of money. He's got fancy cars, nice big house, and lots of ladies after him. But he's not happy because he can't sort his life out, because he's all about himself. Yeah. He's all about sorting himself out, and he can't do that, and he can't think of other people. So I always say, I used to say a lot, is if you had all the money in the world, how good would that be? Imagine if you were the only person in the world with all that.
I Am Legend style.
Yeah, it's pointless. Yeah, it's completely pointless. It's completely exactly. It's completely pointless unless you're with other people. So the most important thing is our relations with other people. This is what I believe anyway. That you'll only be happy if you're in good relations with those around you. Like you two, you bounce off each other. You're much happier when you're like talking crap to each other.
It's always crap
because it's relational. Okay, you're not getting anything particular like financial out of it or anything. It's all about that. If I told you to sit in here for an hour and I'll give you 100 quid, you may say, yeah, that's great, but you wouldn't be happy. You wouldn't be satisfied. So it just shows the money over the relational thing. Relationships with those around you are much more important. When you fall out with someone, how miserable does that make you? Someone you care about, someone you love, you fall out with them. That's another thing.
It can be like a black cloud following you over you constantly, can't it?
Exactly.
I said this on the episode with Tom, but I was listening to the guy whose name I forget, unfortunately, and I apologize, who's one of the leading happiness researchers at Harvard, and he's now taken control of the longest happiness study that's ever been running since 1960. It's been going continuously. And they did another review of like, what's the information show? And they found the 2 things that make people happy are, number 1, physical health. That came out number 1 top. If you're ill or you feel like crap, then it's hard to generate any goodness or happiness or well-being from inside you if your insides aren't functioning well, because it all comes from within, doesn't it? Then number 2 was social relationships. These are number 1 and number 2 for pure happiness. And then I said this as well, but I like a ancient Greek philosophy called eudaimonia, which means the good life. And they say there's 4 pillars to a good life, and the first one's health.
Yep.
You have to start with yourself. That's the only pillar you have sovereign control over as well. You can go for a walk, you can eat different, you can do a bit of training. Even if you're disabled in some way, if you can move at all, you can do something, if you've got any movement or mobility at all. The second one's wealth, not to be rich, but to be stable. Because if you secure, it's not a get everybody should get rich kind of thing. But you need security in the modern world that we live in. The third one is love, that's family and friends. And then the last one is fulfillment, which comes from your place in society. And the more you can integrate these together and get them to work as one. So like for you here at the Station Gym, it helps your health and you help other people's health by being here. And it supports your financial security. And if the people you love, your friends, and your people you know in life are coming down to the gym as well, that's integrated, and it gets you fulfillment from you being in place in society. Now life's just boom, everything perfect.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I agree and I disagree with that. Obviously, coming from a Christian point of view, because I know some people who are ill health and they can't really do much about it, but they have the peace in that.
It has me
so
thinking,
there is something. What we've addressed, what the Greek philosopher addressed there was the physical, what he can see around him, but nothing to do with the spiritual health. And I agree with all those pillars. I like them. But what I would put first is, I don't want to go all preachy on you, but it says the two most important commands in the Bible are love the Lord your God with all your heart, body, soul, and mind. And then the second one is love your neighbor as yourself. So love your neighbor as yourself covers taking care of your health and those loved ones around you. But then what it does miss out is it doesn't say anything about the financial, because I know some very, very poor people who are very, very happy.
This is also true.
But the spiritual fulfillment from knowing the Father who created us, that is where the most peace and satisfaction comes from. Because when I was doing the strongman and stuff, I had lots of people around me who, some did love me, some were just there for the show. I had lots of financial security. My health, I was biggest and strongest guy around. It wasn't great for your health, but I felt big and powerful and great. And the last one, what was the last one?
Fulfillment, like what you do for others, your place in society.
Yeah, so that's covered in the second one. So that's not so much what I did. I did more selfish ambitions. So,
but now you were talking about your levels of fulfillment now, because you've switched away from that.
Yes.
And started moving towards others, and this brings you more reward in return.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I agree and I disagree with that, with the Greek philosopher, but that's a lot of people agree and disagree with me. So that's fine,
listen, I also agree and disagree, because I'm not saying that that's the one answer to every single thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's one, for me, I like that as one little foundation block where you can look at that and think, okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I also think there's many other answers to many other things, and that's just one piece of a positive puzzle in my opinion.
And we all know that everyone's on their own walk. So what satisfies me is not going to be what satisfies you guys. But overall, generically, if we're satisfied spiritually, if we're satisfied in ourselves, if we're satisfied with the loved ones around us, those three are the most.
Everyone suffers from the human condition, and there are things that link us all and that we all need.
But like I said, the finances, they come and go, and I'd probably say I'm a lot happier now having to borrow, when I had to borrow £16 after I had £16.20 in my account. I had to borrow money off my dad, than when I was earning £8,000 a month in the penthouse apartment with the security firms and the strongman. So, I'd like, but don't get me wrong, it causes stress. If you haven't got enough money to pay the bills, it causes stress.
That's another black cloud, isn't it?
Yes, but it doesn't mean that you have to be all doom and gloom, because what happens then is like when you said that cloud follows you. Certain people get that cloud and just don't go anywhere, whereas you stay in the storm. Or you can keep moving forward, even though the storm sucks, and everyone goes through storms in their life. You walk through, eventually that storm's going to finish, unless you decide to sit there and stay there. But what I do as a person is, when things are shit, I'll keep moving forward. I'll keep moving forward, even though I'm not in a great place or anything.
It's like resilience, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's keep moving forward. Otherwise, people just sit down, and this is what a vast majority of people do. I think they sit down, they feel sorry for themselves, and they stay in the storm, and they go, why me, get up, move forward. I don't know what that moving forward looks like for that person.
Physically or metaphorically?
Metaphorically, yeah, just move forward. I think because eventually there'll be an end to the storm.
Initially, the first decision of that comes from this introspective point of view has to come from some form of strength, like you chose to go. But as you start learning, and you've been through all the valleys and peaks and things that you have, you start understanding that it's also the logical option, because time keeps moving forward, whether you decide to join it or not. And you can choose to, like we say, sacrifice the future for the now, because you don't want to step outside of your comfort zones and you want to try new things. Or you can say, do you know what, I'm just as likely to fail at something that I don't want to do as I am at something I do want to do. And the risk that comes with doing something that I don't want to do on top of that is that I'm not doing the thing that I want to do. Take the risk. You've not spent any more risk, because what you were doing, you could have failed at that. Now you're doing the thing you want to do, and maybe you'll fail as well, but at least you're doing the thing you want to do.
This is very good.
That's the walk,
Often the world's a safer place than people think it is, and often people are scared of taking risks. But often, if you think about it, the worst that can happen is you end up where you are right now.
I know, if you're moving forward...
if you take a risk, like what if you try and come down to the gym, and see if you train. Maybe you won't like it. Feel scared, do you?
Well,
what will happen? You'll end up just not.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then you end up exactly where you are now. What bad can happen?
Exactly.
Same with business. Sometimes some people try and they think, oh, I might start a business. You're at a job you don't like. You want to start a business, but what if it fails? Well, then you'll end up back at the job you don't like. So what happened?
You think they don't want another cog in their system? You'll just
at least give yourself the opportunity to succeed, the chance. You deserve that at least as a minimum.
Yeah, I think life is very much like you were saying about the failures. Life is very much trial and error. The more you fail, the more you learn how to move forward.
You fall, you just have to fall forward.
I really hope
You just have to trip forward when you go in. Learn to roll.
You never know.
Never know where to go.
Unless you look at the menu.
Yeah, unless you get that little inside mix. I don't like the strawberry ones, so I'm picking specific.
If life had a menu, If life had a menu, you can just, I'll take some gains, some shreds, and a bit of finance, please, let's go. But you have to pay for these things, people.
You can create it, which is
Everything
nice.
costs.
There's no menu to choose from, but you can create these things.
And yeah, you do, as you start going forward, you do end up in that position where it's like, it's not even an option to just lie down and die and just settle for whatever it is, because it's not even logical. It doesn't make sense.
No, but sadly, for some people it is, and that's what we're trying to do here.
That's what
Is
they have
basically
first
we're
step.
saying we believe in you, we want to help you, and ultimately it's down to that person. It's down to that individual as whether they can have the motivation.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, everyone's had a past, everyone's had bad stuff happen to them. It's just what you do with it. Whether you let it stall you or you go, you know what, I'm not going to let that tough time or that shit situation or that death or anything like that. I'm not going to let it keep me still. I'm going to actually get up and move forward.
Because like you say, your goal now is to help as many people as possible with this place. And I think the systems that you've put in place, you can kind of tell with that, like, there's no stagnating happening. Like, this gym arguably could be done now. Congratulations, we built the gym. It works. Look at this.
Yes.
But the amount of things that you're planning on doing,
I know.
it's a bit crazy. But I love it. Because you've got the outdoor gyms currently getting worked on, isn't it?
Yes, once the weather clears up.
Which shouldn't be too long.
This is England.
Who knows?
Global warming.
Yeah.
Global warming.
I know, but isn't that what's caused it in the first place? That's the problem.
Summer's gonna come and we're gonna die. We're gonna get scorched and burned.
Someone's
issue. You're gonna end up with an issue.
I'm great for the environment. I reflect the sun. Literally, I bounce back the rays. I'm anti-carbon emissions just by being alive. I'm not pale as well. I just reflect it off. It's great.
I do like it when it gets to summer and you just start strutting around your little town all shirtless, just reflecting. No one can even see you. It's just my eyes.
I have to use the sunbed because when it was snowing, I just go invisible.
You do.
Don't I? Just
camouflage.
Just two eyes.
We're pale boys up in here, aren't we?
I am. I've got flipping Scandinavian genetics. That's why.
Goodness me.
Vikings, bro. I will take over.
I did that. I did that ancestry.co.uk.
Did you? I did.
I was expecting to get loads of Scandinavia, maybe like German. Like 95 or 94, 95% English.
Oh.
Yeah, but that
What
depends.
does that go back
1 or
to?
2% like Irish, 1 or 2% Scandinavian.
That depends how far you're looking back, though.
Innit?
Yeah, well, I don't know. That's what they said.
African at the end of it all.
Exactly, yeah, if you go far enough back. And then what counts as English? Like, before English, what was it? The Angles and the Saxons.
Yeah.
Before that, it was the Celts, wasn't it?
It could be, yeah. It was. And
love history,
there's
don't
been
you?
the Romans, and there's been.
We should have had you come in with one of your swords today.
Do you have swords?
You two got some things to do.
I love swords.
Yeah.
We all love things like that. This is something we all share in common.
I love swords.
I've got my nice axe at home. I like mine.
I don't know what I like about them as well, because me and my dad, we argue a lot, as you know. Only like friendly, like
Do you have
banter.
a duel after?
That'd be amazing.
At high noon,
That'd be
sir.
hilarious. I'm trying to get him to come on the podcast. I want you to meet him. He's just such a miserable Yorkshireman. And one of his favourite things is trains, and then one of my favourite things is swords. And we argue about how it's just metal in a different shape, but we don't know why we like it. Because it's both just I think trains are just like...
They're both power, aren't they? They're both about power in their own sense.
I couldn't care about a train. I couldn't care less about a train.
You can't wield a train.
Wheel the train.
You might be able to. You might be able to pull a train.
That's good, actually. I wish I could. My bag's over there. In it, I have my. I'll not ask you to get it. The camera I brought today is from the 50s. I have this 50s.
Is it the one where you look down and it reflects?
Not exactly. It's a bellows
What are you
camera.
talking about?
So if you can without the. Yeah, go on, mate. No, you'll laugh at this.
There's some lead in there.
Well, this is it.
Gosh.
So going down the same thing, I think something that we all appreciate about these heavy metal things and like trains, and like no one really likes trains nowadays. There are people that like trains nowadays, but they're arguably
Yes, there definitely are.
they're
Lots
not
of
as
train
cool.
spotters.
They're not as
There's
cool as the
plane
old
spotters
ones.
now. It's plane spotting, isn't it?
But it's the old mechanical things.
What's the idea of
They're really
trains?
cool.
What's the idea of train spotting? Because I walk
I
a
have
lot,
no idea.
and I do walk over railway bridges, and there are people there watching,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure what they're watching for. Like,
See, I don't get it nowadays
I
because
think they take numbers, don't they?
and then what?
they-
Like, is it train bingo
it's something to that
or
extent.
it's train
I,
Pokemon?
assu-
God,
I,
I
assu-
catch
I,
'em all.
assume, I assume there's a community out there that basically they collect all the numbers, and you're seen as very good if you've got
Listen,
all the
it's your
numbers.
fulfillment and place in
Like,
society.
Exactly.
For me, I get
If that's
that,
what you want
like,
to do.
If you love a
do it.
train serial number, more power to you.
I really
Someone's
like,
gotta
like
love it.
good engineering and mechanical things, which is why I'm not a
Simple,
big fan of
simple
like,
clogs.
which is why I shoot film photography, because I really enjoy the fact that you've got
Is
a
that
box.
1950s?
Yeah, so you press this button and then it bellows
Oh, look
open,
at that.
and then yeah, it's
It's
got,
got like a light up here.
it's
Would
got
it
a
come with a
little.
light?
This one doesn't. It's got a flash attachment.
Has it got a flash? Oh,
Has
it's
a little
a
stand.
posh one then.
So it's pretty cool. Like,
Show it close to the camera.
yeah, look at this thing. Look at this thing. How cool is this? So I've been shooting some film on this. I've finished it now. I'm ready to go and hand it in. But I love how like heavy that is and how much feedback you get
That's
from it.
because it's mechanical in it, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's big
And it's
cogs.
why I like shooting film as well, because all the camera is a box that just periodically lets light through when you open a shutter. It lets it through glass that we've melted and manipulated into a lens, and then you expose film, which is little bits of silver and filament and things like this, and then that imprints on the film, and then we put that in chemicals, and then you get a photo. It's the craziest thing ever. It's crazy.
It's real
And
though.
I appreciate that. I think it's just that my intelligence drops off at digital stuff, because that's arguably
It's
more
electronics, isn't it?
I'm just like, I don't get
electronics is a lot more
It's
complicated,
cool
isn't
for
it?
that,
Yeah, beautiful, man.
It's nice.
Really good. I've seen a lot of your different cameras.
yeah, I've got some cool shit.
You are quite cool with it.
Yeah. What's your
agree.
favourite sword?
What do you mean, like type of sword?
Or one you have maybe.
Well, I've got the Black Prince, so it's just a standard medieval sword.
Are
Your
they
melee weapon of choice.
are they like
Well,
modern
in the apocalypse?
modern
yeah.
replica reconstructions or what?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
modern, yeah.
Is it-
It's a blunt one as well. It's not.
Yeah, I know.
You don't sit there sharpening it.
No, because I don't really
With a
have to
leather
use it.
strap.
Thankfully, this day and age.
Do you
I
like
don't really
Leeds
use
Royal
it.
Armories?
I love Leeds.
I love Leeds Royal
Royal
Armory.
Armories.
I've got literally, if you go through my phone, I've got 500. If you get to a point where you scroll through my photos, you'll just see 500 swords. I've just gone through all of them, just taking a picture of
We need to do a
all
day
of
trip,
them.
boys. Yeah.
I like
Well, I
it.
do.
You have your history days.
Yeah, me and my pal would do history days, so we go and visit either old battlefield sites or old castles.
That's very cool.
I'll
done-
come
we-
to a castle.
Yeah, we've done so many. We're having to go further and further afield.
I've got
now,
castle knowledge, bro. I've got like
You'd like Luke.
Castle
You'd
facts.
like Luke. Luke likes
Is
this
it Luke
castles.
you do that with?
I've
Luke
got
Kenner,
architectural
yeah.
knowledge on castles.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can school you.
I'd look great shooting an arrow at a castle. One of
You
the
would not
coolest
with- not
things-
with that
You look like
technique.
Legolas.
Come on.
Not with that
I'm
technique.
good at archery. This is something I want to do with you as well, and you.
Well,
You
archery.
Yeah. I want
I
to get my own bow soon.
Are you going to use it?
This is it. I need to get me back.
There are
Found
two
a
or
nice
three
one,
archery
mate.
clubs in Sheffield. It's nice.
Yeah. I went to Ringing Low Archery. That's really cool. You
That's
used
where
to
I
go there.
yeah, that's where I went as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Damien, the guy there, he's a
Yeah,
good
went
guy.
there for my
They're nice
birthday.
people up there.
Yeah.
They help me a lot.
We should do that as a staff day.
Archery. That's not a bad idea. Actually.
Yeah.
It's nice. You can book
That's
in.
not
It's
a
not
bad
that
idea,
expensive. Yeah, they'll give you the whole place private. It's not expensive. You have to
Where
drive.
is it?
Ringing Low Archery is cool.
I know it says ringing over. Where?
No, you're right. It's like
It's near Door,
one
isn't
of the
it?
moors up near, just above Door.
The Dormore Inn.
It's a
Yeah.
summer thing then.
Do you know the Dormore Inn?
Yeah.
It's near there.
Out-
If you keep going up that road, it's on the left. It's
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 near the Tigers ground.
it's very
Yes,
near
it's just
Sheffield
past there.
Tigers.
Yeah. And he's right. Yeah, you can hire that out as a little
Remind
party.
me on that, and I can do that as a.
Because they have axe
Staff
throwing
day.
as well.
Yeah, I did that. I had that at the
I enjoy archery.
titanium. Yeah, it's just a bit. You have to be a little gentle almost.
Yeah, because you
prefer
can't
archery.
sling it.
What about
No.
your first attempt on the axe throw? You stick it in the roof.
Dude, yes.
Really?
I went to this axe throwing place and everyone got partnered up and then you go up and you throw with a partner. This guy singles me out and goes, "You look like you throw axes." I'd never thrown an axe in my life.
Why
so
would
he
you
didn't
have?
pair me with anyone. He was like, "Everyone watch this," and put me on first. I'm shaking and sweaty and nervous.
How old are you?
This is not long ago, is
Two
it?
weeks ago?
Couple of,
Yeah, 12, 2 weeks
couple
ago.
of years ago.
Yeah, 18 maybe, 20, something like that. I throw my first axe, it slips out of my hand, hits the roof, bounces down, just sticks in the floor. And then at the very end, I ended up winning, so I brought it home, people.
That removes all nerves at that point, because that's the worst it could go on number one.
I went up the second
all the
time
embarrassment.
and got 3 in a row bullseye, and I was like, all right, redemption, we're good people.
I've never done it.
Now.
I've done this, completed it.
Signed some autographs and left, don't you?
I always think, if somebody was using a weapon and they threw an axe at me and they were really good at axe throwing, they're obviously throwing it so that it rotates perfectly. The way to defend is to just move forward by half a foot, and then the handle just hits you and you're like, oh.
My axe
Probably still hurt.
It would still hurt, yeah, but you wouldn't get axed in the chest, would it?
Yeah, double-ended axe.
Well, presumably, if someone's throwing an axe at you, you've probably got a shield as well. Because it's gone apocalyptic.
Because this is how they use them.
There's problems if people are launching axes. Shit's gone medieval.
It's just people stab each other.
It's gone medieval.
Perfect,
hasn't it?
Because with axes, they used to go over the shield, pull, and then
with the hook,
go again.
The bearded Viking axe over the top, boom, smash them in the face with the front bit.
Shield wall.
We derailed this podcast into absolute hooliganism, and but I had no other agenda.
No other expectations.
I knew it would descend into
Can I ask the question that we've asked for 3 episodes and not answered? About the beginner's training, can we ask Phil?
Go for it. Have we?
Right.
Yeah, go for it. Let's skip ahead a bit.
So this is how the podcast goes. We've been on 45 minutes now. I'm not sure what we've said. We've said everything and nothing simultaneously.
I like we said we would.
The question we've been trying to answer for 3 episodes, and we've done about 5 minutes so far, is, and I'm going to ask you, if a beginner comes down to the gym, where do you recommend they start? Like they've come down, they've signed up, maybe they've had an induction, but now it's day 1 in the gym. What would you recommend?
They need a plan.
Okay.
You need a plan, and you need someone. If you've already had an induction, so you know how to use the equipment. So make sure the first thing you do is you make sure you know what the equipment is. You don't just say yes, I understand that. Ask questions. Then, if you are unsure about anything, you could either, if you're not confident enough to ask someone, Google it. If it says bench press, YouTube how to bench press. It's very easy.
Very smart.
We'd always say, come down and chat to us, but I know that's not realistic for a lot of people because they're very shy, or if we're really busy or something, it's not able. So do your own research. I'd say the more you plan, if you're nervous about it, the more you plan beforehand, the less you have to worry about when you get here. You're still going to be nervous. No one's going to there's no button to take away nerves. When you go out your comfort zone, you will always be nervous, and that is a fight or flight experience. And just so all you need to do is fight it and go. So say your first day was pressing day, you'd go down, you'd have a look at, I've got a program, which you should have had if you've already had an induction. Or
so if somebody comes down for an induction here, you'll make them a program. Is that how it works?
So that's something you cater to, is this kind of anxiety, isn't it? You've got your inductions, your exercise programs.
Yeah. But the thing is, what a lot of people do is they have the butterflies, they're feeling the butterflies, they feel all these imaginary scenarios where what happens if this, what if this, what if this. Only they can overcome that. I can obviously tell the people confidently that 99% of what you worry about never happens.
Agreed.
So just come down, try it, and see what happens. But
nothing will happen. It'll just be you sat on a machine.
Yeah,
you'll realise you're worried about a whole lot of nothing.
The more you watch people in the gym, the more you realise they're on their own game. They're on their own walk. They don't really care what's going on around them.
Yes, yeah.
And
it's hard to understand.
If you ask someone a question, it's like the biggest compliment as well. If you say, oh, I can see that you can bench press well, can you show me? That's an opportunity for that person to help you. So if anything, it's a positive thing for them as well, because they get that kudos of, oh, yes, I do know how to bench properly, thank you very much.
It's one of the best ways if you're a new person in an environment, is just to go up to someone and say, hey, could I ask for your advice on something?
Yeah.
And then immediately they're
That's
like,
nice.
oh, me? Yes, I have advice to offer.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Just not before a set, if they're about getting fired up.
If they're holding weight, if it's on their back already, leave them alone.
Yeah.
There's certain gym etiquette you have to follow, isn't there?
Yes. But that's just social etiquette, I think.
Agreed, yeah. But I think, and it doesn't do much immediately when people hear it that are anxious about coming to the gym. But understanding that psychology, like you say, that no one is actually looking at you, and whether you hear it as a good or bad thing, you are the least important thing to them at that gym.
Yes.
They're there for them, not you.
Yes.
And if you're worried about generally the bigger the person gets, the more worried about them you are, and the more scared you are.
Yeah.
But they're the people that have climbed the mountain, they've bled the blood, and they've sweat the sweat, and they understand more than anyone how hard it is to be in your position walking through the door.
9 times out of 10, they're going to be very nice
They're the
people.
nicest people.
They want to help you.
Yeah, because they've benched out the demons.
Exactly.
You can only squat for so many sets of 20 before you have to get on your knees.
And they know what it's like to be that first person.
Exactly, that's what I mean.
That's first time, and they know because everyone's done it for a first time.
Yeah.
So when people say, "Oh, I'm really nervous about going down to the gym," and you're like, everyone's done that. Yeah. Everyone who's been to the gym has been down to the gym for a first time.
Everyone's been the weak one.
Everyone's been at the start and at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's just about maybe the best way to overcome that is how important is your goal to you? How important is your health to you to overcome your fear? Because if you submit to your fear will stop you ever achieving anything more, and your health will just decline. Because as we get older, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. So you have to do more to keep it in line.
Yeah, after age 40, it's 1% muscle mass decline per year, and it's 2% strength decline per year after age 40 for humans.
I'm scared about that.
No, wait.
No, two and a half years.
No, wait, no, this can be 100% ameliorated by training. Literally, this is only because...
There is hope for me.
Yeah.
This is because the this is information from Dr. Andy Galpin. This can be almost fully, if not fully, ameliorated by training and good eating. It's because when you study average populations above 40, people's activity levels drop and the nutrition habits drop. So then if you look at people across like on epidemiological studies, everybody's getting weaker. But that ain't gonna be me. That ain't gonna be me.
See you at the top of the mountain, people. Join me.
I'm gonna get a six-pack by the time I'm 40.
Is this so? We were gonna get.
Is that a real goal?
What your own training is.
You're talking to the guy.
And what your goals are. This is.
I know, but the
man.
thing is,
A couple of gains on this. Nice little tight waist. So,
what are you talking about?
Well, talk us through what you're. Obviously, you've done. You've climbed the mountain. You've been the mountain. I've climbed you.
Picked up the mountain. Yoked the mountain.
I've seen you struggle to climb a mountain.
What
now is your goal with training? What are your modalities that are getting you there? What's your training?
So obviously the goal is, it's a very tricky situation to move from having such driven specific goals to all of a sudden I don't want to be world's strongest man or England's strongest man anymore. I don't want to do particularly very heavy lifts. So what I've done is I've set myself a target of 300 kilo deadlift again.
That's cool.
What?
I know. I don't
remember I was
strong.
like 380.
Oh, that makes it fine, Phil.
Yeah. It's all relative.
This all makes it normal.
Relative. It's all relative.
70 kilo
Relative, I like that word. You make me feel better. Continue. We're talking about relativism. Go.
About 250 squat and 180 bench.
Legit.
And about, maybe if I can get to a 130, 140 log.
At what weight for you?
I would like to get back down to 19 stone. I've put a little bit of timber on.
So you want to do those lifts at 19 stone?
Yes,
that
120
be
kilos.
Very legit.
120 kilos is a nice weight.
Yeah.
For someone, I'm just a large human.
Yeah.
So I've always been.
How tall are you?
6'3".
6'3".
But I've always been big.
You getting into six-pack territory is probably going to be looking around 110 kind of kilo bracket.
Well, we'll see. That is just a nice idea. That is not as important to me as getting those last lifts in.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
But it'd just be a nice thing that I've never really had. So it's just like, you know what?
I'm sure
what would I look like with a six-pack? Just out of curiosity.
Imagine if you knew the best fat loss nutritionist in the world, Phil.
Oh.
Imagine.
Do you know what?
Can you imagine?
Can
you imagine? Do you?
He's on that board there.
Yeah, it is. It's at Connor Rhodes Fitness on flipping.
On Instagram.
Instagram, boys.
Well, I'll be able to have some words with you then. But I've not been very disciplined with my food recently
because of obvious reasons.
Stress and convenience, yes.
You have stress and anxieties currently, but they're appropriate stresses and anxieties, aren't they?
And the thing is, and it's learning to cope with them, because obviously it's only 8 weeks in, so it's a new. If you change your lifestyle so big, you're going to have stress and anxiety. So you just have to get used to it. Yeah. And then what you do is once the shock of the system's over, oh no. Once the dust starts settling, you're like, right, okay, I'm not going to stay like this. How can I handle this? How can I handle this stress? How can I handle this anxiety? And that's what I'm in the process of doing now. I'm in the process of writing everything down and basically being logical about it, staying calm about things. Yeah. So the dust is settling. I don't know how long it's going to take. And life throws curveballs at you all the time. So it's going to be, the dust is back in the air again.
Yeah.
But it's just about settling as quick as you can into a routine of how to deal with that stress and anxiety.
I think so, yeah. So you're training well, business is going well, ethics and spirituality is going well. We've got food on the table, we've got love in our hearts.
Yes.
Are there any closing words you want to leave the people with?
Just the only way you're ever going to grow is get out your comfort zone. whatever that looks like. Everyone's on a different path. Just be brave, because otherwise life will slip through your fingers before you know it.
I think that's really nice what you said there as well. I think it's important for people to sometimes understand what bravery is as well, because people think bravery is not being scared, but it's not. It's being scared and doing it anyway.
Yes.
That's what bravery is.
Yes. You don't need to be brave if you're not scared.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's feeling the fear and doing it anyway, because it's the right thing, not the easy thing.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't it? Closing words from you?
Closing words from me. Thank you, Phil, for coming on the podcast. This has been great. We've had an excellent episode. We're thankful for all the listeners. I agree with all the sentiments that's been said today. I think we should be working hard. We should be striving towards our goal. And we should be trying to do it at the Station Gym, because it's where all the positivity in the world is. We've got the biggest forms of positivity here. We've got the most shredded forms of positivity here, and the hairiest as well. And these are all the things you need for success. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Check out the
Respect.
Station Gym on
Thank you.
Instagram. Come down and see it at Manor Top. Check us lot out as well. Thank you for listening, people. Lots of love. Goodbye.